Mark Towers. Give him a killer welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. I always like to start with this story. I met my wife in kindergarten in a town of 500 people. People don't believe that, but it's true. My wife and I went to grade school, junior high, high school together. We got married at age 20. In October will be our 43rd anniversary. I'm proud of it. And after 15 years of marriage, the passion was gone. So I decided not to be a member of NATO. You know NATO, N-A-T-O? No action, talk only, you know. I was going to do something. So I went out and I got a dozen red roses, a bottle of champagne, and I rented a black and white tuxedo, and I put that tuxedo on. And I rang the doorbell to our house at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. My wife opened the door, and there I was, passionate for her. Roses, champagne, tuxedo. She looks back at me, and the tears start to come down her cheeks like this. She says, well, this is great, Mark. The dishwasher broke down today. One of the boys got in trouble at school, and now you come home drunk. So I was trying to do what was right. You know what I mean? And what I would say to you is that, I've been around this block. I've been teaching a long time. So I'm going to watch that clock. I'm the guy between you and lunch, And I'm not stupid, so I'm going to heed the words of Elizabeth Taylor. How many times was Elizabeth Taylor, the actress, married? Anybody know? 8 times. So today I'll heed the words of Elizabeth Taylor, who said to her 8th husband, I won't keep you long. All right, so I'm going to watch that clock. So I don't like the boring seminar. I don't know about you. I don't use PowerPoint, but I like magic. Because adult education needs to be fun. So Walt Disney's brother Roy said this. What a great quotation. Decisions are easy when values are clear. I love that line. And I got up at 5 this morning, got thinking about my values. Educate, motivate, entertain. That's what I'm going to do. In that order. And that's the magic coloring book kind of makes that form. First thing I'm going to do is educate. Nothing in the magic coloring book. You know what I mean? Second thing I'm going to do is motivate. Nice little 3B here. Now, if that entertains you, you may want to get out more often. I do like that stuff. And there's one more, baby. Educate, motivate, entertain. You know what's coming. And my wife says, Mark, I wish you were on TV because I turned you off. She's not here. So this is what I do. I like to play a little bit. Like to have some fun. So you got a great handout here, right? Everybody? There's some in the back room if you need one. So it's called Doing What You Love in the Service of Those Who Love What You Do. There can be I want to congratulate you. Because there can be no better commitment than serving your community. So I congratulate you on that. I come from a not-for-profit background. I get it. Doing what you love in the service of those who love what you do. Now, I've been listening to the city manager here this morning. How many of you would agree with me on this? That people want more and less government at the same time. That's true, ain't it? And that's impossible to do. So when Carolyn emails me, I read that little email that says, Keller, Texas, one of the top 100 places to live in this country. Congratulations on what it is you're doing. All right? Keep it up. So the first thing I'm going to say here is today's warm-up. You see that? I like to warm people up just a little bit. When I was 7 years old, my mother called me into the kitchen. And she sat me down. I was making fun of a boy less fortunate than me at school. And she said, son, when you label, you disable. And as long as you live in my house, you will not label people. I got that when I was 7. And I do a lot of leadership training. I don't care what your rank is. I really don't care. I don't care. But I think everybody can influence everybody else. That's leadership. How do you do that? With one key word. The most important word for you as a city employee is this word. And the word is respect. Not tolerate, but respect. That's the word. So when I meet people and shake their hand, I'm going to give them an MBA right now. They're magnificent beyond their abilities. Get it? I'm going to give them a PhD right now. They possess human dignity. Get it? That's what I'm going to do. Because my mom taught me that. So I'm going to give them one of these, baby. Oh, yeah. So what I want you to do right now, this is the participation part, is turn to that person on your right and your left and deliver that little honor sign for me. Everybody. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. That's right.
So,
See what I'm saying? That's a people skill. That's a people skill that ain't going to quit. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 things today, and then I'll shut up. I promise. The first thing I'm going to talk about is welcoming discomfort, and BLT, which is a book I wrote. And then the only 3 things that matter in this city. That's all. That's all I'm going to talk about. So here's number 1 right here. Welcome discomfort. Accept the fact that uncertainty is just like gravity. Both are here to stay. You know what I mean? There is a sign I keep in my office that reads this way. I welcome discomfort. All right? I look at that sign every day. 63 years old. Things are a little uncomfortable every day, and that's okay. Can everybody want to give me one of these real quick? Come on, man. All right, you people with your left thumb on top, wave it around at everybody in the room. Just wave it around. Left thumbers only. You right thumbers, stay still. All right? These are the people that are sexy. All right? Now you right thumbers only. Left thumbers, stay still. You right thumbers, you go ahead and wave that around. You right thumbers only. There you go. Right thumbers only. These are the people that think they're sexy. That's the deal. All right? Now what I want you to do is I want you to reverse those thumbs right now. And I want you to be uncomfortable. All right? You get used to that feeling. Because 90% of our behavior is dictated by habit. But there is going to be uncomfortableness as we go on into life. We all know that. I welcome discomfort. First thing I like to play with. Keep that in mind. The second thing I like to do here is citizens, customers don't want choice. People, there's too much choice. They want to give you the power of attorney, therefore position yourself as a BLT, believable, likable, and trusted public servant. I met my wife in a town of 500 people. I grew up in the country. We had a fire in the bathroom, but we put it out before it got to the house. Some of these I'm doing just for me, all right? So anyway, I was home the other day, and Keith, my buddy from high school, is now the mayor of this town of 500 people. I said, he's a great guy. He's a BLT, believable, likable, trusted guy. I said, Keith, how did you become the mayor of this town? He looked at me and he said, I was the 5th caller. I thought it was funny, you didn't, but I went, all right, so anyway, that's the deal. But the first thing I want to talk about here is believable. Communicate in this order of priority. I hate the word communication. I do. It's a bad word. It means too many things to too many people. Better word is understanding. Right? How many of you have been to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? Anybody? I got there one time. My dad always said, son, if you're not early or late, you get there. I got there early. And I checked into the hotel. And the woman at the hotel desk said this to me. She said, you can go down to that room and you can go on in there, but the maid is in there putting in the finishing touches on your bed. I said, okay. So I went down and I opened the room and there's the maid working on my bed. And you know, your job, my job, is to make the invisible people visible, and you treat them with respect. And I started talking to that maid. And I looked outside and I saw all these people drinking beer on the beach. And you know what kind of interested me? I looked at the maid and I said, can we drink beer on the beach? And she said, well, yes, we can, as soon as I'm done with all these other rooms. Understanding, better word than communication. You know what I mean? So did you understand? The second part of this is a great public servant says you listen, you ask questions, and then you tell stories that are short, positive, and have a moral. I could play with this forever. But I go here right now. How many of you are grandparents? Ooh, looking around there. Quite a few. You know, grandparents and grandkids get along so well because they got a common enemy. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, that littlest grandkid, he doesn't talk real well yet. He calls me Crapaw. We're working with him. We'll get there. I took that little boy out to breakfast the other day, just Papa and Kyle. And the waitress was great. The waitress brought him an extra biscuit. And I'm teaching him respect. I am this kid. I said, now you look at that waitress and you say the magic words to her. So Kyle, that little guy, he looks at me, he looks back at the waitress, and he's thinking about the magic words. He looks at me, he looks back at the waitress, and Kyle goes like this. Ta-da! Magic word. Teaching that kid respect. He did it in his own way. To be believable. Second thing here, ladies and gentlemen, says to be likable. You know, I think likability is really important today. I really do. So here's what I need for you to do. At no time will my fingers leave my hands, all right? Here we go. I want you to think about something here. I'll give you a little challenge just a second. Doesn't that just jar your preserves, huh? Like that? All right. Now it says in the underline there that you only got 3 tools. You got out of bed this morning, you got 3 tools. There they are. Your talent, your motivation, and how you talk to yourself. That's it, that's all. There ain't anything else. So I want you to turn to somebody on either side of you. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Turn around if you have to. I want to make a call. I want you to make a call. What's your strongest tool in your tool bag? Is it your talent, your motivation, or how you talk to yourself? Ready, set, 10 seconds now. Go. Just share with somebody. Go. Stop. People want to talk. Let's let them talk a little bit. You people in the front may want to rubberneck around and watch this. This is pretty interesting to me. Watch this. How many of you said it was your talent? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. See, it's always a minority of people. It's always a few people say that. All right. How many of you took high school shop, industrial arts, woodworking? How many of you took that class? I did too. My mother saved every one of my report cards. My mother saved my 9th grade woodworking project. I don't have a lot of talent like you guys. Because that started out as a walnut coffee table. I just don't have a lot of talent. You know? So I admire you people that do. How many home runs did Babe Ruth hit in his career? He hit 714. He could see the seams on a fastball at over 90 miles an hour. That's God-given talent. Right? How many of you said it was your motivation? Let's get your hands up. It's about half this class. We don't know anything about human motivation. We just write books about it. Constantly. Now, people say money motivates. Other people say it doesn't motivate. I'll tell you what motivates me. Humor. I love humor. I love the power of humor. I do. Because one time I was in the library and I looked up the word humor, and the word humor comes from the Latin word humor, U-M-A-R, which means to be fluid and flexible like water. That's what the word humor means. To be fluid and flexible like water, see? How many of you like that country and western music? Anybody? I'll email these to you. Here are my 3 favorite country western songs. You ready? She chews tobacco, but she won't choose me. Number 2, I'm so miserable without you, it's like having you here. And number 3, if I had shot you when I wanted to, I'd be out by now. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for that kind of stuff. I am. So, that's the deal. We gotta have some humor here. Now and then, it's an important thought for me anyway. How many times did Babe Ruth strike out? Do you know, sir? 1,330. Babe Ruth, though, they said in the sports pages back then many times, swung so hard at home plate that he fell down. And when the crowd was booing or cheering, and Babe Ruth went back to the dugout, he did this every time. He tipped his hat to the crowd. He wasn't going to let those people's behavior determine his. He wasn't going to let those people live rent-free in his head. He wasn't. You see? So he was a motivated kind of cat. He was. How many of you said it was your self-talk? Let me see your hands. Again, it's about a third of the class. About true to form here. How many of you talk to yourselves? I love it because there's a couple people in this classroom going like this. Well, do I talk to myself now? Sure, baby. You think Babe Ruth had good self-talk? Babe Ruth died at 54. Alcoholic, depressed, and down and out. So don't ever let anybody stand in front of you and say this, that attitude is everything, because that's not true. That's just not true. Research shows it's 3 things. It's your talent, your motivation, and your attitude, or how you talk to yourself. Can I get a volunteer here real quick?
One standing up over there.
He's leaving them. He's got it. Right here. Let's give Kim a round of applause. There she is. We'll stand right here, Kim. All right. I like this little exercise. Ready? I want you to close your eyes, look down at the ground, and say to yourself, self-talk, 5 times, not out loud, but to yourself. I'm a bad girl, I'm a bad girl, I'm a bad girl, to yourself, and then look up at me. Ready, set, go. Put your left arm out, please, young lady. I want to push this to your side. I want you to resist with all your strength. Ready, set, resist. Okay, relax now. I want you to look down at the ground, say to yourself, not out loud, but to yourself, I'm a good girl, I'm a good girl, I'm a good girl. Then look up at me. Ready, set, go. One more time. Ready, set. I want you to resist. Same ball game. Now, don't play with me. There we go. I've done that with hundreds of people. You think this is nonsense? It's not, because research is throwing 3 words. Thought is biology, and that proves it. Kim, raise your right hand. Everybody else, raise your right hand. Here is what great, great leaders and salespeople say to themselves. I can show you this research. I want you to remember this. This is the best piece of self-talk ever. Repeat after me. I cannot fail. I can only learn and grow. That's the level we strive to live at. What a great, great, great volunteer. Let us give her a round of applause. Miss Kim and my book right there. I'll autograph that for you later. I cannot fail. I can only learn and grow. Your talent, your motivation, your self-talk, and your Babe Ruth story. Okay? All 3 of those are true. You see this little graph right here? It says here, you know, every day when you walk into work, every day, you got a choice. And you can come in defiant, against, unsure, interested, involved, committed, or passionate. If you have a pen, maybe some of you need a pen. The other day, I got a new pen down at the bank. go for cheap. We do. All right. So if you have a pen, you may circle the word that describes you most days coming into work, or just put a finger on the word that describes you most days coming into work. Go ahead, circle it or put a finger on it right now. All right? Now show your neighbor what you've put your finger on or what you've circled. Ready, set, 10 seconds, go. All right? You know, I was speaking to the League of Michigan Cities a couple years ago. And a guy from Kalamazoo, Michigan comes up to me and goes like this. He said, I supervise 15 people in Kalamazoo. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, can I use this continuum, this graph in my work? I said, man, what's mine's yours. I said, what are you going to do with it? He said, I'm going to ask people like you did to pick a word. But I'm going to ask him to move one word up that ladder. And I thought to myself, I'd like to work for that guy. I would. If he's asking me to be 15% a little more excited, I can do that. You know, I hope to God that nobody in this room, circled one of those two words down at the far left end of that continuum, defiant and against. That would be awful. Because if I worked for the city of Hill, here's what I'd do. If I had somebody defiant or against next door to me in that cubicle, I'd reach right over that cubicle to him and go like this. Feel a little crabby today, are we? Huh? All right. You know, this morning when I was shaving, I noticed I had a problem. I got very sleepy eyes. I do. It bothers me. And you know, likability, projection, and connection is in your face. It's in your face. And I gotta watch my eyes, you know, I do. So here's what I'm gonna tell you to do. When you guys need to project energy on the phone or in person, this works every time. And I'm all about stuff at work. So this is for you, and it's for me. And it works. I got me a little prop here. A little toilet paper with a face on it. Follow my lead, everybody. Give me your best possible scowl, everybody. On the count of three, I want to hear the words, good morning. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. That sounds awful. Watch this now. What I wanted is a neutral face, just a placid face for everybody. On the count of three, I want to hear that good morning. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Doesn't sound much better. Sounds a little better. It's in your face. So here's what you do to come up that continuum, baby. What you do is you take your eyebrows as high as you can take them. And on the count of three, I want to hear that good morning. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. You hear that? It changes everything. You don't want to be that way all the time or people think you're nuts. But when you need energy, that's what you do. You get your eyebrows up. And the first time we went to Disney World, my oldest grandson, who's now 14, came running at me like this when he was 6. He said, Papa, this cost me $22 of my own money. And Papa, I bought one for me and I bought one for you. And we're going to be together at Disney World for 2 days, Papa. And I'm going to wear mine. And I expect you to wear yours. Are you going to look at a 6-year-old and say, I'm a serious adult? You're not going to do that. You can't do that. So now every year when I go to Disney World, I got to watch my eyes. I walk around the park like this, with my eyebrows up, looking at every adult coming my way like that. And they all quickly look the other way. And it's the practice I need. So remember the eyebrow deal, baby. It's very important. The last thing I got here is being a BLT is trusted. Be radically transparent. Bear in mind that trust is about 3 things. Respect, fairness, and credibility. That's what the word trust means right there. I broke it down and researched it. You know, I gotta say this about my career. How many of you worked for McDonald's besides me? In 1972, I was a high school teacher and girls basketball coach. I made $7,250 for 1 year work. That was my salary for a year. We're living in low-income government housing because my wife and I cannot afford a regular apartment. I remember that. We couldn't pay the bills. So I went down and I got a second job at McDonald's where she babysat with our son. I walked into that McDonald's and I said, I need a second shift job. He said, you teach school? I said, yeah. He said, we need you tonight. Don't go home, don't fill out an application. I need you right now. We're going to be busy in here tonight. I went to the back of that McDonald's and I started to flip burgers. And in through the door came one of my students, this kid named Bob. He said, Mr. Towers, what are you doing here? I said, Bob, it's my second job. He said, good, sir, because tonight I'm your supervisor. Yikes. He wasn't doing real well in my class. And he said, if there's time to lean, there's time to clean. Go clean up the parking lot now. And I got every cigarette butt out of that parking lot. He made sure I did. I'll never forget that, man. We had a team meeting after every shift at that McDonald's. And we had a little saying, went like this. None of us is as smart as all of us. Those weren't just words, man. They meant that. They meant it. One of the best places I've ever worked. And I was treated like this. You know what I mean? I would like you to team up now in groups of 3, 4, or 5. Turn around if you have to. Look at each other and say, we'll be a team. Ready, set, go. Ready? Let's find out what other people are doing and don't do it. I like to be a little different here. I would like now everybody to put your finger in the air. You got a team of 3, 4, or 5 like we had at McDonald's. And now on the count of 3, I want you to point at your team's leader. 1, 2, 3, point. That's cool. Now we got a leader. Now everybody else bow down to that team leader, please. Team leader only. I want you to give me that little white piece of paper I've scattered around. Team leader only, nobody else. And wad it into a ball. Wad it into a ball. All right. I would like everybody to put your paper down. I'd like everybody to stand up, please. Follow my lead. Come on, here we go. All right, ready? Don't break my rule. I'll be very specific with you. I want you to start handing that ball back and forth to your neighbors. Ready, set, don't throw it, but hand it. Be nice. You hand it to your teammates. Hand it to your teammates. Yes, hand it back and forth nicely. Hand it to your teammates nicely. Stop! Now what I want to do is change the rules. Every team has a unique culture. How are we in our culture here at the City of Keller? All right? What I want you to do now is start playing catch with this ball tricky. Be deceptive, be tricky. Ready, set, throw them back and forth. Be tricky, go! Be tricky. Stop! Let's change the culture. Now I want you to pretend like you're going to throw it hard at somebody, then hand it to them. Ready, set, pretend like you're going to throw it, then hand it to them. Go! Pretend like it's hard, then hand. Yes. Stop! One final exercise on culture. Who's ever got the ball, hold it out defiantly in front of the other guy. That's right. And now I want one or more people from the team to go get that ball away from who's ever hoarding it. Somehow, some way, get it away from them. Stop! Give yourself a hand and sit down. Thank you very much. All right. That, my friends, is what it's about for me, except for one last thing. You know, that's the way I was treated at McDonald's. At McDonald's hamburgers. I wasn't treated harshly. They didn't hoard information from me. They weren't deceptive. They treated me with respect, as I said. They handed things to me, treated me along the path. It was just beautiful. There's one more thing I want to say about being a BLT. How many of you had a dog? Have a dog? How many of you have a dog? Wow, a lot of you. My dad was a vet. We always had a dog. I know animals, man. I spent my life working with animals. I have. And you know what I say to you is animals are BLTs. They're believable, likable, and trusted creatures. And so I'm lonely. I travel quite a bit. And I always travel with my friend Rocky. What Rocky to do? Play dead. And you can revive it with a little CPRs. Do with that guy. But the best dog we ever had was a dog named Peppy. She was a white terrier. She stood this high. She had a 1-inch brown stripe at the base of her tail. What an optimistic dog. What a great dog. What a servant dog. Because the doorbell rang for 14 years straight in our home, and Peppy got up off the rug like this. Yip, 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 yip. Jumping up and down, protecting our family, running to that front door. What an optimistic creature. What a BLT. Because in 14 years, that doorbell was never once for Peppy. Now that's what I want from you. I don't want you to bring your garbage in here, man. I want you to dump it from the day before and don't bring it in here. Be a BLT, believable, likable, trusted cat like mine. Okay. All right, I'm going to watch this clock. I've only got 3 things I want to say. Third thing I'm going to talk about is the only 3 things that matter in this city. Teach this to your kids because it's the only 3 things that matter in any organization. Anywhere. First one says this. Delight the internal and external customer by providing solutions to problems and good feelings. Those are the only 2 reasons people spend money. Those are the only 2 reasons you got a job. There isn't any more. Solutions to problems and good feelings. Ready? People don't buy drills, they buy what? People don't go to a Walmart and buy a drill, they buy what? Anybody?
Ears.
What did she say? Beer. We know where her head is. I'm following you, young lady. People don't buy drills, they buy holes. You get that? People don't buy an electric drill, man. They buy the ability to make a hole in a board. That's a solution to a problem. You get that? People don't buy drills, they buy holes. People don't buy cars, they buy what? Transportation, that's a solution to a problem, and image. Sex appeal, that's a good feeling. And people don't buy cosmetics and cologne, what are they buying?
Good looks.
No. People don't buy cosmetics and cologne, baby. They're buying hope. That's what they're buying. They're buying hope. Got that? That's the deal. All right. Now, that's the essence of customer service right there. The waterline principle means this. I want you to picture a boat, the water, and a water line across the boat. This is one of the smartest things I've ever heard. They do it at the Gore Company in Delaware, the most innovative company in America. And they tell everybody to picture a hole above and below the water line. And they tell every employee this. If you make a decision here in the city of Keller above the water line, and it ain't a real good decision, that's cool, because the boat won't sink. But you know, you got a job and every organization runs loose tight. You know? There's only 2 people in our company, my wife and I. And last year I gave myself a plaque as Employee of the Year. This year she gets the plaque. But my wife said to me one day, Mark, I'm going to hunt you down on the cell phone if I got a decision over $500 to make. If it's under 500, I'm going to make it here in this office. I said, happy wife, happy life. That ain't hard. You run this office. I'll speak. Okay, cool. Our water line is $500. You got to know that. You got to know when to consult below the water line and act independently above the water line. And I was in Indianapolis one time with the Indiana League of Cities. I've done a lot of city work. And a woman looked at me at this trade show and said, come here. You me? She said, you. And I walked across that cement floor and I got to her table at that trade show. And she was working above the water line because she gave me this, and I still got it 3 years later. A capital letter B above the water line. I said, what is that? And she said, it's a freebie. I still got that. See what I'm saying? The second thing that matters here in this city is quality, quantity, cost, and timeliness measured. What gets measured gets managed. The city manager talked about that this morning. That's all he's talking about up here. Are these things that we measure, right? So you ready? Raise your hand, team leader. Prizes to the winning team. Everybody give me one of these real quick. This is the size of your brain. And this thing can do two things a machine cannot do. Innovate and care. Right now, we're going to innovate. We're going to compete. We're going to compete. We've got to have innovation, as the city manager said. So here we go like this. I'm going to give you 15 seconds on this, team leader. What city, in Kauai, the Hawaiian island of Kauai, they get the most feet of rain every year? There'll be prizes to the winning team. Two things bring innovation, competition and dialogue. We're going to do that in here right now. Okay? How many feet of rain does the island of Kauai, the rainiest spot on earth, get every year? Feet, not inches. I want you to talk to your teammates. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Don't go over, because if you go over, you automatically lose. How many feet of rain? Ready, set, discuss, go. Come to an answer. Here we go. You ready? How many feet of rain? Hold on. Here we go. I have, my friends, over $7 worth of valuable prizes. And I'm about to reward it to the people that came the closest to, you won't believe this answer, 38 feet a year. 38 feet of rain. Who had a number that was 20? I heard 20. Okay, was anybody more than 20?
I said 38.
You said... You don't believe this guy. He looks so believable. 38. How many people on this team?
It's 3 years.
I love this guy. I'm going, they had 20. You ready? Let's give them a round of applause. I like to go to the dollar store and haggle with them. I do. So here's your prize, young lady. Give her a round of applause. Have a pasta dinner for two. A pasta dinner for two. Enjoy it. How about for you, my friend? Some rocker tattoos. And for you, young men, I do have some sardines and mustard. Quality, quantity, cost, and timeliness. We have a little exercise there. Don't ever forget those four things that you can measure. The last thing I want to say to you here is let's create a culture that's focused, flexible, fast, friendly, and fun. You got that? Because that's where I want to work. That's where you want to work. I want to talk about this fast, but not too fast. You know, I've run the Boston Marathon twice. I'm going to run it again. And when you run 26 miles, you can't go out too fast. I'm not a very good athlete, but I'm fairly focused. You know what I would say to you is this. 90% thoughtfulness beats 110% panic. At Domino's Pizza, it used to be 30 minutes or it was free. It ain't that way anymore because of accidents. At Starbucks Coffee, the big dog, the boss, is now telling all the Starbucks employees, slow down a little bit, I want people to smell the coffee. Don't ever believe that 100%, 110%. Don't believe them. 90% is where it's at. Michael Jordan always played at 90%. You know, come on. So what I'd say to you is this, as we wind this down, this violin string, right here, these violin strings, are 90% perfect. 80% no music, 110% string snaps. Here's the #1 karaoke song of all time. You ready? Shout it out when you know it.
New York, New York.
New York.
895. We're shopping, baby. Focused, flexible, fast, friendly, and fun. I better walk my talk. I better educate, motivate, and entertain. I better live my values. You know, because I was in Illinois one time, and these married couple came up to this two women at a holiday. And I've spent my life serving the customer. And they castigated this woman, said, I hate this room. I want my money back. They just balled these two women off. I still felt so badly for those women. And they refunded their money, and the married couple drove away. And after they drove away, I carry these in my briefcase all the time. I got them with me. So I went to the corner of that Holiday Inn, and I inserted these. And I came up to those two lovely women. I said, listen, could you do something about the chlorine in the swimming pool? And they upgraded me to a suite. So I thought, hey man, this works. Well, there's only three things that matter right there. So I've talked about three things today with you guys. Welcome discomfort, BLT, and the only three things that matter. Okay? And I want to thank you for having me here this year. It's been my honor, my pride. And I will say this to you as you continue your great work in this great city, one of the top 100 places to live. You know, it's really this simple. It really is. It's really this simple that you think about your life in these three questions. Did I live? Did I love? And did I matter? From where I sit, you do.